Now, I don't know why I thought that the news about Canal France acquiring DSTv was going to be big news across Africa, but it turns out Africans have blue-ticked this news as well. But don't worry, in this video, I'm going to explain what I think will be the implications of this deal and what it means or how it may affect you. Now, if you didn't know, DSTv was bought by Canal France in a deal that's worth $2.1 billion. Now, the French company has been buying shares in DSTv for a while now, and now they bought it outright in a deal that is worth $2.1 billion. That is a lot of money. Now, depending on which side of the fence you're looking at this, right, there are implications to this deal. For starters, if you're the French, obviously, you wouldn't mind buying a media outlet like DSTv, which has dominated the African space since the 1980s, by the way. So you know what they say, whoever controls the media controls the narrative, right? Now, from an African perspective, yeah, this might seem like it's a good deal or it's a bad deal, depending on which side you want to look at, right? I mean, from the sense that you want maybe independence, it's not a good deal because DSTv is big. It not only has footprints in South Africa, but just across the whole continent. Now, Canal France, in fairness, has been operating in Francophone Africa for a while now. And their operations there, they've been able, maybe because of the French, they've been able maybe to have French films or French content playing in those countries. And they've also supported local content from Francophone countries. Now, already there are a few changes which have already taken place on the multi-choice board. Maxime Sada, CEO of Canal France, is now the chair of the multi-choice board, and more French execs are now part of the board as well. Whilst some multi-choice board members have been moved around and some have been fired. Simba Tasker is an app that connects businesses to customers and customers to legitimate businesses. Gone are the days of hiring blindly. Have you ever hired somebody to do tiles in your home because they were referred to you by a cousin's boyfriend's uncle, and they end up doing a terrible job and it gets weird for everybody? Well, Simba Tasker makes the job of looking for services easy. There's a rating for each service provider. And guess who does the rating? You do, making sure that only the best service providers remain on the platform. With Simba Tasker, you can connect with service providers directly on the app. You're also able to view their business location in case you want to hire somebody nearby. Simba Tasker is your best option if you're in the diaspora. No need to hire service providers through your unreliable cousin. You can do it directly on your phone or computer. Simba Tasker is available on iOS, Android, and there's a web version as well. So what are you waiting for? Download Simba Tasker today, link in the description. So the big question is, what does this mean for the African viewer? Now, if you know that DSTv has been losing customers for years now, right? And part of the issue was the pricing. A lot of people felt like DSTv was too expensive and they were not really giving value, right? And let's be honest, the only reason why people were staying with the platform is because of the sports channels like SuperSport, you know. Besides that, when it comes to movies, I mean, they were just playing old movies on repeat, and it was a mess. People were no longer getting value for their money. So what I think is likely to happen, right, is Canal France may be forced maybe to reduce prices. I highly doubt that. But what I see is they may be consolidating maybe their streaming apps like Showmax, and they're integrating them with the DSTv packages so that people get more value, right? So that you don't have to pay twice. Maybe across all packages. That's what I see, which is likely to happen, because if they increase prices, let's be honest, people had already left DSTv, so there's no incentive for them to return, right? Now, I also foresee a scenario where maybe the programming will improve. Not sure how it will improve, especially in English-speaking countries, right? In Anglophone countries in Africa, because Canal France, as you know, they have a huge library of films and a lot of stuff, right? But most of those films are in French, right? So in terms of Francophone countries, I'm sure they're covered. And I'm sure where already Canal France is a presence, they're already showing them that sort of content. But as well, they also have good relationships with Hollywood films, which means there may be a variety of films that may be showcased on the DSTv platform. So that's a plus. Now, where I'm worried, and this is probably a critical point, is we have channels like Zambezi Magic, Mzansi Magic, right, which prioritize local content, right? That is suitable for Africans. Yeah, I'm not sure if they'll be able to maintain those, but I'm sure in the short run, since the board still has a mix of old multi-choice execs, right? I'm sure they'll be able to maintain it, but in the long run, we might find ourselves in issues, particularly if they want to now maybe streamline their operations. I'm not sure how much they know about like Anglophone African countries, right? Especially when it comes to this point. Perhaps this is probably the biggest point. Now, as you know, most of these countries, they use these platforms, right, to export their culture, so to speak. Now, if you know the French and their programming, sometimes they are too lax. Let me put it that way. There are also adult like channels, like in France, which is something that goes against maybe the norms of Africans. Now, I know this is probably a debate, but the people be saying, nah, you know, you're just saying it's the norms, what is forced upon people and stuff, and people change. Yeah, I'm not saying that, but generally we have to realize that Africa is very conservative, right? Now, what's going to happen in the long run, right? Now, I know in the short run, people can say this and that, but there's a likelihood of, let's say, the African culture being overwhelmed, so to speak, with the French culture. Now, there are already tensions with the French on the continent. Look at the cases of Mali, Burkina Faso. So now what happens when maybe the production of content that is deemed to be maybe anti-France, right? So this is some of the, I think, the complications that may happen with this acquisition. Now, maybe I'm making it a big deal. Maybe it's not supposed to be. But yeah, I think that's likely to be a point of contention in the long run. But then again, like I said, I think Canal France is a big media company, and also they recognize the sensitivities of some of these things like culture on the African continent, since they've been operating in other Francophone countries, right? So those are some of the negatives, but also I see that there are plenty of opportunities that will come. Now, if you look at how content on the DSTv platform was maybe, what can I say, prioritized. They prioritized South Africa and Nigeria, I think, just based on the amount of people in those countries. I mean, economically it made sense, but at the end of the day, if you look for example, Zimbabwe, Zambia, there's like Zambezi Magic, right? So there's a bit of content there, but other countries, they don't have much presence on that platform. Hopefully, since they are coming in as neutrals and with their vast experience in the media industry, I think other countries as well, they'll also get opportunities to showcase their content on the platform. At least that's what I think they should be able to do, so that you also get buy-in from other countries, right? Because I mean, Africa is made up of other countries other than Nigeria and South Africa, right? So yeah, so that's opportunities for filmmakers as well across the continent that I foresee. Now, whichever way you want to look at it, Canal France has already bought DSTv, which means it's a new era for African content, right? Now, I know in terms of them acquiring like sporting content already, remember even before DSTv started buying the rights, Canal France was the one that was giving maybe most African countries, especially coverage in terms of sports, right? Most African countries actually used to buy from Canal France, which is why I don't know, I'm just a bit mixed about it, right? At some point you feel like there was some sort of African independence that had happened. Now looks like all the content now will have to go through France once again. That means Africans will need to pay France for that, right? I mean, let's look at it this way. Let's look at even local leagues, right? Most of African leagues, they were bought by SuperSport. So in other words, your local sport, right, it is governed in France. That's what it means. I think that shows, like, in that regard, I think Africans need to think better, man. Like, why would you give away something like that, right? Something that is yours, now it's controlled in France. That's the issue that I have, like, with Africans. Sometimes I feel I hate to be like this, but I feel like we don't use our brains, man. Like, you do not seed something like your own sports. Imagine local sports. I have to buy rights to watch my favorite local team from France, right? That does not make sense in my opinion, right? But anyway, to each his own. So like I said, maybe this deal is actually good for Africa, but yeah, we're likely to see at the end of the day what this means for Africans. But hopefully they come with maybe fair packages that are actually cheaper, better programming. Yeah, at the end of the day, I think that's what matters, right? better programming, and if we get that, and also local representations, opportunities for local filmmakers and content creators, if that happens, then yeah, it's a beginning of a golden age. Or not. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.